Hey, cosmic warriors, spiritual skeptics, or just a random confused human. Welcome to another dimension. It's time to sit down with me, your reluctant mystic Michelle, coming to you from the void between worlds to talk about some really interesting metaphysical stuff. Who am I? Just a human who's been thrown into this place called Earth, who has a lot of questions, born with a whole bunch of gifts, but not a lot of answers. So what this podcast is going to do is explore some paranormal mysteries, energetic phenomena, and a lot of FML moments that have you questioning, what the hell are we doing here? So if you're spiritual or you're just really confused, this is the right place for you. So join me if you like riding the waves of the quantum ocean and getting really down deep into the WTF of what's going on here. Because, as I always say, they're legit. There's no way I signed up for this. So if you're ready for a wild ride, let's go. Okay. This episode, I'm being led to do this, not just because of my own experiences, but I'm just, like I say, when I'm led to do something or I'm being told to do something, it must be needed. Definitely can't ignore the fact that there's a double Mercury Retrograde we're currently in at the time of this recording. Double just meaning it's going to be passing through two signs. Leo and Virgo, I believe, are the two signs this double retrograde will be going through. So maybe this is it. Saturn retrograde is also going on at the recording of this episode. So some SOSs are being thrown out. Some energetic SOSs are being thrown out. I've received them. I've heard them. Here we are. There are going to be some people resurfacing, coming back. I'm not here to feed into anybody's delusion. So let's start there. And so when I say people, it can be anything from romantic people in your past, family, friends, whatever. There's going to be a resurfacing of individuals. Now, some of you might be extremely happy to hear this. Some of you might be like, meh, not interested. I'm just putting out what I'm being told to put out. However you pick it up, completely up to you. There's a couple of things, though, when I'm talking about resurfacing. And some of it does not have to be physically. So what do I mean? When there is a spiritual connection, some people call it soul ties, divine counterparts, spiritual agreement, spiritual contract, dare I say, twin flame. Not going to go into that. You take that terminology as you wish, as you will. I've been very transparent about that phrase and what that means for me, how my experience has been with it. And I will always say, if you had a choice between a soulmate and a twin flame, I'm gonna suggest the soulmate. Less trauma there. But anyway, I digress. So when I say not just physically, but sometimes energetically, I'm meaning emotions, especially if you are an empath. So you might start to pick up the other person's energy, their thoughts, their feelings, and it might not be too comfortable. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about if they're coming back, like physically, like that's a whole another conversation. Maybe a session that you find out on YouTube and when I'm throwing some cards. But right now I'm talking about energies and how to deal with it. Because even if there is a desire to reconnect on the physical plane, the emotional stuff can still be difficult to navigate or process. So using my experience, and be it that having a extremely strong spiritual connection to another person. And then when you have your certain set of gifts, that person has their certain set of gifts. Oh my gosh. It is like if I could get a spiritual restraining order, if those existed, some days I definitely would be like, okay. And I don't know, maybe there is something similar to that. I haven't figured it out. But some things I have been able to experience, not from dreams, right? And that's going to be where most of you all can resonate with if you're listening to this. If you read the title and you're still here, then that means there's something in this conversation, there's something in this episode that you're going to resonate with. Because you're not going to be listening to this if you read the title and you're like, oh, hell no, I don't want none of that. So, dreams are some of the most common ways you're going to pick up on this individual. They're going to be appearing in the dream. They're going to be interacting with you in these dreams. Some of it is recall, memory recall, yes. But then the dreams where there's communication, it's very different. It's kind of similar to when somebody has passed and they have visitation dreams. It's similar to that because you're basically communicating on a spiritual plane. And I typically tell people these dreams typically happen early on. So say the other person is thinking about reaching out, or they're thinking about you, they're reminiscing, their soul energy can reach out to you in dreams. Now, if the other person is skilled or is a dreamer, and when I tell people, when I use the word dreamer, like my son's a dreamer, the counterpart I'm referring to is a dreamer. They have the ability to manipulate dream space, prophetic dreams and things of that nature. If they're able to do that, oh my gosh. So it's kind of like, even if you're mad and you don't want to deal with them, here they come. Here they freaking come. Now I've learned to wake myself up out of dreams. So if there's something going on I'm not liking, or in this example, if somebody makes an appearance and wants to talk and I'm not feeling it, I can literally, for the most part, it hasn't happened 100% of the time, but maybe 80, 85, will wake myself up out of the dream. I don't classify as a dreamer. Have I had prophetic dreams? Yes, but I don't classify myself as one because I don't do it enough. It is in my toolkit, but it's just not my main gift. My main gift is the empath, the channeling, the mediumship, and all that wonderful stuff. So I say all that to say this. For me to know if it's a memory recall dream or my mind is processing type of dream, it looks very different than a visitation dream. Typically for me, it might be different for everybody else, but for me, in visitation dreams, it's just me and the other person. And a lot of times there's no color. Or if there is color, it's a very intentional color. So a lot of times it's just me and the other person. Or if there's other people around, there's really not really a lot of interaction with those unless there's a message coming from one of those, like a family member. My mom is another indicator for me that this is a visitation dream, if she's there facilitating a conversation with the other person. So dreams are a sign. Dreams are an indication that this person might be reminiscing, poking around in your energy field, or thinking about reaching back out. Another sign is just you're going about your day and you get hit with a sack of bricks. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be heavy all the time, but if you are in no contact with this person and they're sad about it, 9 out of times it's going to be heavy. So you can be going about your day and then all of a sudden it's just like, and I have an episode of that like this, about this. What you're feeling is not your energy. What you're feeling is heavy. It's not your energy. Or you can automatically detect who this is. So when I do that, I'll actually speak to that person and I'm like, I'm not doing this with you today. We're not doing this today. Because it could throw your whole energetic feeling space off, right? So again, that's where you need to have grounding and everything else. But the feelings that come out of nowhere, and it's a very obvious out of nowhere. Like, you will not be thinking about that person. You will be like knee deep into a whole project or doing something, and bam, here the person is. That's another sign this person's either thinking about you, wanting to reach out, or just reminiscing, whatever. They're in your energetic field. Things I've also been able to do is taste stuff. Now, this might not be common for a lot of people. Again, this is just a part of how my gift is set up. But I can taste stuff. Things that individual eats that I don't eat. And being a vegetarian, that can be problematic. But things that individual eats that I don't eat, things that individual drinks or does that I don't do, I can taste that. So for an example, if your individual smokes cigars or something in that space, and you don't, you're not a smoker, but you start tasting it in your mouth, there's some indication right there that person's in your energetic field. And for me, being in the scientist's mind, I would, when things like that would happen, I would track it and then see how many days or sometimes hours it takes for me to hear from that person. Usually we're in contact then, but I'm like, were you just eating blah blah blah? And they'll say yeah, and I'm like, okay, because I don't eat that type of food. So that's another indicator. So right, we got the dreams, we got the feelings out of nowhere. For me, tasting, smelling, right? Again, using that same example, if the person smokes cigars or things of that nature, and you just randomly smell that, you're in your house, you don't do that, right? You don't do that thing, but you're smelling it out of nowhere. There you go. There's another indicator that person's in your energetic field. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, and again, this time frame in the stars right now, the planets, are setting things up for if there's going to be interactions, it could happen. But those are some indicators for you to say, hey, this person, is in my energy field. Now, what if you don't want them there? What if you don't want them there, right? Because sometimes you can start to feel like you're going insane. Like, dude, I'm seeing you in my dreams. When I'm waking up, I'm tasting this banana smoothie. I don't freaking eat bananas. Smelling your cologne or whatever you wear randomly on a Sunday afternoon when I'm by myself. Like, I don't want any of this. What do you do with that? Right? Some people call it returning to sender, whatever. For me, I request the person to step away. Because the difference between them being in your space energetically and then the human form, energetically requesting to step away and then kind of grounding yourself, you can control that, right? You can control grounding yourself. If need be, say a quick prayer, call on your God squad, whomever those individuals are for you, and be like, I need this prayed off of me, or Lord, I don't want to deal with this today. And for me, that has worked. Does the person come right back in after a few days? Possibly, but at least it gives me the ability to control my energetic space, have some boundaries there, right? You wouldn't let somebody just walk in your house, your physical space, right? So you have to be that intentional with your spiritual space too. And not just with individuals who might be trying to come back, but with anything. You have to be careful with your spiritual space. And that's the reason why I don't hug everybody, right? That's an energy transference. That's why no judgment if you are out here smashing everybody, but understand that is an energy transference. You wouldn't allow strangers or people that you barely know to walk into your house and set up shop there, right? Don't let them do that energetically. So, again, saying all this to say, those are some indicators that somebody is tapping into your space, and is there. How you choose to manage it, it's up to you. Some people might be like, I like it. I like feeling this person around me because I miss them. But then there's some people who might be like, this is done. I don't want any of this. Now, I will say, in my experience and other people's that I work with, if there is some form of spiritual contract, spiritual agreement, those are two different things. I have learned, I have been told, our divine mission between the two of you, it can be much more difficult, because it's not just them, that person kind of pushing you. You're getting nudged by your team, your spiritual team, because there's work to be done, right? And no one cares about your dang on feelings when you got work, divine work that needs to be done. So that can be challenging in that space, especially if one of the group or both of you don't want to do the work. What I have learned is the Lord's work will be done. You're either going to be doing it willingly, or you're going to be dragged to do it, but it's going to get done. And you can go back to scriptures, any of them. Of course, I've always talked about, my home team is Christianity, but go into any religious text and see where, this is the assignment. This is what you're supposed to do. Even when that person's doubting themselves, they still do it. How it gets done, that's going to be up on you. And it goes to the question, and I'm in here because that's going to be a whole nother conversation. Everybody talks about free will. Well, don't we have free will? Don't we have free will? We do. We absolutely have free will. The free will is in how you choose to do the assignment. What does that mean? Okay, let's say you and somebody has an assignment to do. It's a joint project. It's a group project, which I can't stand those because I always seem to get screwed in those. But it's a group project, and you're like, I'm not doing it. Okay, but this is your assignment. You came on this planet to do this. This is what you've been ordained to do. You're going to do this. Free will comes in on how you're going to make this happen. What choices are you going to do? What things are you going to do? How you're going to maneuver through life, this, that, and the other. Those are where you have free will. So, but the free will is in how you're going to make whatever you're being told to do. Look at Moses, right? Look at his story. Look at Noah. They had divine assignments on their life. And there were some struggles that came with it. They had free will. They were able to choose when and all these other things. Well, it's not so much the when, but they still did what they were supposed to do. It just depends on how that looks for you, and that's where your free will comes in. Are you going to do this being happy, excited, with gusto, or are you going to get dragged, complaining the whole way? I can't do this. I don't want to talk to them. Nineveh, Jonah and the whale, but he still did it. He didn't want to. And what happened? He ended up in a well. But guess what? He still did it. So the free will was, he chose not to. Something happened to him, and then being disobedient. But guess what? Still did it. So your free will comes into how you choose to do the assignment. But guess what? You're going to do the assignment. So, yeah, let's pin that for another episode, because I've had so many prayer moments, just having that communication, because I'm just like, well, is that free will? Yeah, it's free will. How you answer the test, how you take the test, what pen you use to take the test, what desk you're going to sit in to take the test, but guess what? You're going to take the test. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here. And if you are experiencing any of those things I talked about, let me know. I'm just kind of curious. We are in all these retrogrades. The zombies are waking up and showing themselves. And I'm not here to tell you move forward towards these people or not. That, again, free will. That's up to you. I'm just letting you know some indicators to let you know that there's people poking around in your energetic field and what you might want to do to address that. So, hopefully this was helpful for you all. Again, further information if you want to get nosy, check out the sessions on the YouTube page. And again, as always, you guys take care, stay safe, and keep your eyes to the sky.